Career choice. Demystify the pressure. Hello everyone, welcome. We have got gorgeous Cate Jackman here. Hello darling, how are you?
Very well, thank you for the beautiful adjective. I think you're exaggerating already.
You said your parents like jazz.
They do, they love jazz.
They might appreciate this.
I'm sure they would.
Now everyone, I brought Cate along today because, desperately hoped you'd come, because I am fascinated by the incredible pressure put on children. I think of them as children, teenagers, when they're wrapping up school and they're needing to, they say, so what do you want to do for your career? And they suddenly have to tick some boxes and apparently know what they want to do in their life future. They're only 17 or 18 years old. So, this whole idea of career counselling, I think, is profoundly fascinating, and I'm really excited to talk about it. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I'm really happy to jump in.
Okay. Let's get some background. So, Cate, tell me about your background with careers.
Well, I come from a background of education, so I've been teaching for many a decade. But many a decade. Let's not age me up front. But I've always worked what we'd call here in Australia in the senior school, so particularly with
high school,
year 10, 11 and 12, kids making those crunch choices that you're referring to.
15, 16, 17, 18.
Absolutely. Yep. So I've done a lot of work pastorally and academic with them and worked with a lot of careers counsellors over the years really, really closely. And whilst my own career was sort of taking different shape, just in the last 5 years, I had the opportunity to really have a deep think about who I wanted to be going into the next decade of my life. So I went back and did some own study to qualify in career counselling because I just felt in all my leadership roles I was drawn into one-on-one and working with kids and families with these really important choices. So I've recently, for the last 4 years, become a career development practitioner, and I'm really just kicking myself that I love the whole space so much that it took me so long to find it because it brings me great joy and purpose.
But in itself, isn't that a punchline? Right?
Yep.
So you...
So, and that's the whole ticket while we're here. What's your purpose?
Let's jump to our finale.
Let's find your purpose.
Find your purpose.
Because...
And there is no one purpose.
Of course there's not. Of course there's not. And often when I'm speaking with young people and parents too, there's many stakeholders in the career chats that we have. It's really, I think, knowing that the world is very different to what you and I might have experienced at the same age. I think the pressures are still there and the importance of making decisions are. But young people, what do we call them, Gen Zs?
I've lost track.
They're Zs now, kids that we're currently teaching, your sons, would be Gen Zs. An Australian stat is that those kids are going to change jobs 17 times over 6 different careers in their lifetime.
17 times over 6 careers.
So it's not even just changing jobs within health.
Really?
So that really sort of helps inform, and that first thing that you led with, ticking boxes, jumping through hoops.
Yeah.
There's not one thing they've got to do. It's what they do first or what they do next. I think that what I hope to prepare young people for.
And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Don't look too far ahead. Just look at what's the next.
Because otherwise it's just overwhelming. And no wonder we have kids, very perhaps uptight or concerned about the next step that they're going to make or the choice because they think it's going to be forever.
So it's a lot of pressure, isn't it?
I think so too. And it sometimes doesn't need to be.
Yeah,
I think.
Do you think that? I mean, there they are, right? And they're in grade 10. Okay, sorry.
Well, they're in grade 9 some of the time making choices about subjects.
Are they?
Yeah.
All
grade
right.
9 you're deciding on
so
what level of maths are we going to do.
Oh, okay. We're talking about Australian curriculum here, so sorry about overseas people. But so we're talking like 13, 14-year-olds, and they're needing to pick their subjects to then get a taster for them for their senior subjects. So yeah, it is leaning in that direction. And then in Australia, senior subjects, grade 11 and 12, they're
prerequisites
hurts me.
potentially for university if that's the pathway they're going on.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of pre-thought and a lot of pressure to kind of have a direction perhaps with regard to what you might want to study early, very early.
And being, I don't want to use the term ill-informed, but thinking that there's only one way is totally the wrong way to think, because what career development practitioners in schools I hope are trying to do, at least in an Australian context, is showing students and parents there are multiple ways to get to an end goal.
Yeah.
That you're not defined by a number, an ATAR, university entry, going into a trade, going straight to work.
There's path 1, there's path 2, there's path 3.
Always different ways to do it.
If you want something, we'll find a way.
Absolutely. And unfortunately and respectfully, school systems don't necessarily show that really transparently.
Really? What do they do instead?
Well, I come from a background of teaching, and a lot of schools, the ones that I've taught in, would really champion academic excellence, as they should, but that looks different for different kids too. And in creating an atmosphere of, do your best, do your best, do your best, I think you're pushing kids into corners going, I must do this level of science or maths to be successful. But I'll just say, so I find it a real irony almost that on one hand we're going work harder, in a classroom setting, but on the other hand it's like, just take the pressure off. You don't need to solve the problems at the moment. I'll often say to kids, you don't want to peak in high school. Imagine if your best was hot. Imagine if you were at your best at 16.
There are a lot of people like that.
There's not much else to look forward to. And, if that was it, if your high school you was the rest of you. So I just sort of want to slow down that pressure as a teacher.
I do like that, yeah.
So as a teacher, you're trying to get results and data and all the rest. But when you look at the product, the kid in front of you, it's like, oh, darling, you've got such a long way to go. And that's so exciting. So it's
what's your next step?
It's what do you want to do next, or what do you want to do first?
What do you want to do first?
Is some of the things, because I think when young people come to have a session with me, half the time I think they already know the answer before they sit down.
What do you mean by that? I thought the whole point was they don't know the answer, but they feel pressured to have an answer.
They come for a chat because I'm not their mum, I'm not their dad. I'm another hopefully trusted adult, and it's just facilitating conversations, because a lot of them, through good questioning and through a whole lot of things, have already thought about what they don't want to do, what they're good at, what they're bringing to the table, what type of values they bring, what's important to them down the track, what lifestyle they want to live when they're 25, 30, 35. So I'll get kids to, we have a few golden questions that we can tend to ask to try and identify likes, dislikes, not negotiables that might help chart that career or chart that first choice that they're wanting to make. So if
they already know the answer, why have they not spoken that?
I think that there's lots of influences on choices. I don't know if they don't know the answer, but I think there's also
pressure,
too much choice in some cases.
Okay.
So some kids know, I want to do law at this university. Other kids go, I just want to travel, But then there's a pressure, I suppose it could be parental, societal, peer, of doing something that everyone else is doing, or that university is the only rite of passage post-school, or, I think that there can be external forces that sort of sometimes says to a child, I must do this.
What about parental pressure?
That's a good one.
What are your thoughts? Because can I say, as a parent, I've got five beautiful boys and 3 big ones, and I'm sorry, but my message to them is don't do psychology.
I was the same. I said to my one daughter, I said, whilst I'm alive, you're not going into education, which is really bad.
No. I've said to them, I've got the best job in the world, and I mean that. I love my job, and I would love if they love psychology and they want to do it, but it's a highly academic.
But Kirsten,
pathway.
you also are you love it because you know that suits your innate talents. Like, yes, you've studied. Yes, you've done amazing things to be as
11
successful.
11 years.
Yeah, but you're not successful because by fluke. There's some things within you innately that led you into...
Yeah.
And that's part of unpacking things for young people too.
But I think for me it's a protective thing. I know it's highly academic. I question whether they are wanting to be that academic. Or I say to them, if you want to do psychology, that's fantastic. It's a wonderful career, but be prepared that you have to be that dedicated with your grades. It's the only degree that you're guaranteed to not come through and qualify in the profession. It literally is the only degree. So, I think parents like me who... I think, isn't it interesting how we want to protect our children? And I don't know if that's helpful or not. But,
you sound like, as a parent, in the career advice that you'd be giving your boys, that you're quite realistic through your own lived experience.
Incredibly so. And if they wanted it, they're bright enough, well and truly. But, I know the real world. I know a lot of parents that also say they presume that the career that they have taken, that their children will follow their path. Which I think I'm the anomaly there.
I think that's quite sad and limiting.
But it's quite common, isn't it?
To a degree, and I think...
I'm sorry, I know so many families where they're all nurses, or they're all teachers,
or there's a run of doctors, and
that's fine. But I think that that's fine. That's fine if people choose that. But isn't it interesting how the parent role modelling might be helpful, or it might be a hindrance as well. This is what gets the parents' approval, or this is just, or quite honestly, this is what I'm familiar with, and therefore that's safe to me.
Bingo.
And that's fine too. So it's interesting.
Cliche, you can't be what you can't see. In a regional town such as this one,
I've never heard that cliche before.
No, I think I say it all the time. I think, oh my goodness,
you can't be what you can't see.
So for kids, I've got so many kids who'll go, I want to be a physio. I want to be a physio. I'll go, why? Do you like touching people? I think they think that they're all going to be touching a hot sports person.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And then my own daughter was like this. I want to be a physio because she was good at sport.
Sounds quite
perverted. And I said to her, I said, but you're not a hugger.
You don't like touching people?
I went, but my point is this, and I'm making it a silly one, most young kids, when you think about they've been to a GP, they may have had some surgery, so they've had maybe have a hospital experience. They've probably done an ankle, done a knee, been to a physio.
So
but they haven't been to an OT. They haven't been to a psychologist necessarily. They haven't been to an exercise. They haven't been to a speech. So there's a whole lot of.
So there are hundreds, thousands of careers out there that teenagers
that you don't know. So why are you locking it in? Why are you locking it in at 15?
So is that what career counselling, is that the right phrasing?
Yeah.
Is about, which is saying, okay, here is your aptitude, here's the lifestyle you want, and here's all these massive career opportunities or different descriptions, roles that you don't even know about.
Well, and that's so true in this day and age. The degrees are just popping up everywhere now, talking about unis having micro credentials. So you're doing all these smaller things within your degree, not just to become out as a qualified nurse, for example, or a software engineer. So they're looking at transferable skills
that's really good.
Rather than, but I think parents, though, from my experience, some parents, can we just circle back to what you were saying about...
Circle everywhere, darling.
There we go. Circling back to career of, like, the whole family of nurses or teachers. I've been in set plan interviews, which we have grade 10 where kids are
to
selecting
choose your
subjects,
Yeah,
as you would know, you're familiar.
Way too many times.
And I know, and we get kids to perhaps bring 3 or 4 to the table that they think through all this work that we've done, inventories and learning about self, that they'd be interested in. There was one time when the child said, I'm thinking nursing, and Mum and Dad were both nurses, and you could just see them. They'd never heard this before and they were so proud, and I went, that's fine.
You're seeking your parents' approval.
But there is such a broader range. Nothing against nurses. We need amazing nurses. But I just think kids don't know what's out there.
Yeah.
So every opportunity for work experience I take. Again, I'll give an example of my daughter at a podiatrist with her when she was 14, and I just started grilling the podiatrist. What do you do? Where'd you go to uni? I just find the more we can get kids to interact with real people, we're going to have that.
Do you know this is a bit sad. Do you know with my kids, the school, great school, offered them all a work experience.
Mm-hmm.
I went and organised a second one for all 3. Isn't that funny?
But again, another cliche of mine is all work experience is a good experience, because even if it's like, oh my goodness, I hate that.
Yeah.
Or that was so boring. You've learnt something.
Do you know what I did for work experience?
What? Yourself?
Yeah. When I was at school, I always knew that I wanted to be a psychologist, but I didn't want to do work experience in psychology because I figured I'd be making tea and filing. So I thought, no. So I put down theatre. So I went to the arts theatre in
I thought
Brisbane.
you meant operating theatre.
No. I decided to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so I went backstage in a theatre for a
amazing.
week.
See?
Great life experience. And then the second, because my school did too, my second one I put down law because I thought it was, a bit sexy. And and I sat in a horrible rape trial for a week.
Oh my goodness.
That was not good. Anyway. Basically,
but you can still recall those
your life experiences.
Absolutely. So
bring it on.
So rather than I'm going to do all these subjects to do law.
Yeah.
Play around in the sandpit a bit. Get messy. Work out.
Here's a question: how many kids come the end of senior, finishing high school, actually know what they want to do? Because can I say, I don't mean to talk about me, but hey, why not? I knew what I wanted. I knew that I wanted to be a psychologist in grade 10 because I was fascinated by human emotion, behaviour, thought, and done deal. But
you sounded pretty evolved at year 10.
Yeah.
That you could identify that those things were drawing you into...
I had a stupid amount of life experience at that stage, that's true. But, and then my beautiful boy, sorry my boys that I'm talking about you so much, but it's kind of flipped, I think, because I did know, and so then it kind of creates this reference point that they don't know, or they haven't figured it out necessarily, some of them have, and I'm saying to them, no, you're the norm.
Absolutely.
I'm the outlier here, not, but for me, I kid you not, I'm a pig in mud. I love my job, honestly, ridiculously, and I have since that young age, and most people haven't, right? So what do you think?
I think you're correct seeing yourself as an outlier.
Yep.
I think we're too quick to pigeonhole students.
Right.
Smart kids think, because I am academically smart, I should do law or medicine.
Do that.
I'll have kids come and, I'm going to do medicine. I went, I'll actually put a devil's advocate and say...
Do you want to be a doctor?
I said, I think you'd be better at law. And then, so they haven't even thought about it. They're just used to getting straight A's, good at maths and science, we're going to go there. So I will challenge those notions just to test the waters that is a correct choice for them.
Have that critical thought.
Absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
And...
check their
there's
reasoning.
also, I haven't actually got a stat at the tip of my fingers, but I would say, because I do a lot of follow-up with school leavers and I love catching up with alumni, 1/3 will change to... These are just kids who are going to uni, right. So we're talking about 50% of the Australian population, but 1/3 of those kids will change within first year.
Yeah.
Or drop out because uni wasn't the be-all and end-all. So my big mantra to kids... If you get lost in that first year of uni, seek help. Find the counsellors. Do a bit more work on yourself. Go travel. Do something else. Because I think it's like seeing someone like swim underwater, holding their breath, going, I'm doing law, because they set it up for a goal at 16. If you're hating law when you're 18, why are you sticking at it?
I really think the conversation is, you wake up in the morning, what do you want to go do for your day?
What's going to fill your cup?
Yeah.
What's going to give you joy?
Yeah, what are you going to go and do that's going to nourish your brain, that is sustainable, that has the lifestyle that you are wanting to embrace? And that brings us to the whole other massive portion of this, which is self-awareness.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, psychologically, we are not adults until we're 28 years old. So
is it 28 now? It's getting higher. I thought it was just for the male population.
No.
Sorry. Sorry, gents.
No, 28 is when the brain basically, the person you're across from is going to be quite consistently the person in the future. Prior to that, there's just a lot of movement happening, and there's a lot of try before you buy, experimenting, a lot of individuality coming out, and which is delicious and lovely. So how do you work out who you are if you are not who you're going to be? Right?
That's quite profound.
Well, it's true.
Is that rhetorical, or do you want me to answer that?
I mean it. So, I think I meet a lot of adults, who are 30, 40, 50, and they're saying, who am I? What do I want to do with my time? What are my priorities? And they're having these conversations of who is my authentic self. And we're wanting these baby adults to have that self-awareness when they haven't yet experienced.
And lock in
well, they're not
one of the biggest decisions of their life.
Correct. They haven't even experienced being an adult yet. So
when they've got everything else going on. We do high school at the worst time when you think about that.
When do you think we should do high school?
I don't think we should ever do it. I think high school, I'm going to shoot my career in the foot. High school isn't about learning how great you are at maths. High school is learning about what you value, who you're becoming, as you're saying, how to relate to others, what we will tolerate, what boundaries. It's all about that. And so too, university is that rite of passage. I was just talking to my daughter, who's finding it very comical that I'm doing this tonight with you.
Why?
And you're doing a podcast. You're doing a podcast.
Good.
So anyway, we're having a chat over the phone, and she said, we're referring to someone else who's having a bit of a career crisis at the moment, and she said, university, she said, it was about the experience. She said, I've learnt so much in 2.5 years working in practice than I did through my degree, but my degree gave me life experience. So it's she said what I learnt about myself at uni was more important about what I've learnt.
Yeah.
So I see high school as not marking time, but it's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
As to is your first job, as to is your part-time job. So going back to that self-awareness that you're referring to, so critically important. And I'm actually changing jobs myself tomorrow, first day, where I'm going to work in a co-ed environment. So I'm really excited to work with boys again.
Yeah.
Just from a perspective of how I think girls can tend to overanalyze themselves and make the problems bigger, and I am generalising here, obviously, but I think boys and careers could be a totally different conversation. So I'm really excited for that new challenge as well. But look, we're all work in progress. And a really wise mentor of mine once said, particularly about young people, she said to me, Kate, you know what? Your kids never arrive. They're never there. And she was talking to her daughter who I'd taught, who was at OP1 back in the day, like the highest mark you could get, who got into Monash Med School, and I was, oh my goodness, she should be so proud. And she said, they never arrive. So her daughter at 30, her daughter at 40. So she's just saying we're all just continuing to evolve and hopefully make smart, but as you're saying, informed choices about knowing self, knowing strengths, knowing weaknesses. Yeah.
And I think a big part is taking the pressure off.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a huge amount of pressure, isn't there?
Because when you're 17, your worldview is, getting that mark or getting into that uni or getting that top job is the pinnacle when you're 17. But when your 30-year-old looks back on that, you sort of...
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
So don't peak in high school.
Don't peak in high school. Personally, I didn't buy into high school, so I don't know when I'm going to peak. I think about the culture of schools, and I really admire schools. I look at the organisational system and what they achieve, and it hurts my brain. But if you really think about it, what they're about is having good grades and obviously having decent behaviour and good culture. And I do understand why they can start to become this pressure cooker of, like if you think about kids rocking up to school, how many lectures do they get about take this year seriously, take this year seriously?
It's a bit doom and gloom. Like if you haven't started this by then, it's too late, and you better start doing it.
Yeah, and this equals your future. This equals your value. It's this or it's the end of the world. It's this incredible kind of catastrophic pressure, and I maybe I'm exaggerating, but that's what teenagers tell me, who perhaps exaggerate, but they tell me this incredible, like focal point with regard to you must do better, you must do well, you must. I once sat with a parent next to me, and our kids were beginning of high school, and she said to me, I expect my child to give 100%. And I said to her, why? And she looked very uncomfortable because it was clearly just a rehearsed line. And I said, well, no, think about it, seriously. She wanted to run away from me at this stage. And I said, well, 100% means that a gun's to their head. Do you want 100%? Do you actually want 100%? She's hating this conversation. And then I said, so 100% means that they're going to be panicking. So they're going to be in their sympathetic nervous system. They're going to be in fight flight. They're not going to be able to encode new information.
You just went full on psycho. You just gave it.
I might have. And so they're actually not going to, you have their executive function. So you don't want your child at 100%. Okay? Firstly, it's not sustainable. Secondly, the brain doesn't function. Okay? So let's just take a moment. Your child is in early high school. I would say we want our child to give approximately 40%.
I know exactly the type of parent, and we are talking archetype here and student that you're talking of, and the
kids say I have to give 100%, and I say no, you
don't. There's no joy. Like, what happens if you meet a nice boy, or you want to go to a movie, or
no? But they're supposed to come and enjoy the process of learning, and that is the optimal way to actually learn, right? As soon as you have pressure in a situation, we clam up and we don't learn well. And, I explained to this poor lady that, come to senior, we want 80% max, because the brain keeps working, it's sustainable, and we actually don't want to torture our children.
Absolutely.
And, she scurried at that point, so...
I'll actually, like reasonable parents, I'll just say...
Am I mean?
No, I'll just say to parents...
Maybe.
At the end of the day, we want to get child X, to the end of this year with great memories in one piece, with the capacity to do what does come next, rather than rocking in the corner because they didn't get 100% on...
I think schools...
I
think schools need to say, let's have a good attitude, let's give it a good effort, let's turn up and be present, and that's great.
Well, that's like us at work too. We can't be working at 100% every day, Well,
I'm not 100% right now.
No. Well, it is late in the day.
No, but I mean, it's true, right? So I think the school cultures really need to stop and have a look at this issue.
That's what I was referring to before. Like, we're data-driven in schools. And that's publishable. And, overseas there's league tables, there's this, that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, in the career counselling job, I'm talking to a kid in front of me, trying to help them unravel all the complexities of their life, and their, not so much their long-term future, but what's next.
Yeah.
And how can we get you there? And I've got to say, when I look even around this town and run into past kids that I've taught at several schools, the most successful, in inverted comma, ones, career-wise, are kids who didn't peak it. Are kids who knocked around at high school, had a good time,
had a
sense of humour, played a bit of sport, went to the musical, like did the whole gamut
Bit
of
of life
things
balance.
rather than...
Well, my three big boys, 23, 20 and 18, they've all come through with really, 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 really solid grades and with a very low blood pressure. Right?
What a great recipe.
That's what I'm saying. Don't just enjoy learning.
Absolutely.
It's actually kind of simple, isn't it? It
But
really is.
the whole idea of having chats with professionals about careers and seeking work experience and, digging deep with yourself and looking at the wider world, I think is the ticket to that. And don't lock yourself into one thing.
No. And can I go into a completely different area now?
Go there.
We have a lot of people who come through and they might be academically shiny, but they don't have the life skills to have that position of leadership or authority. And so obviously we're also looking at that holistic picture of, their development as individuals and their socio-emotional development. And that equals happiness, boom, 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 right? And having the skill set to bring people into their world so they're less isolated. So I also obviously profoundly, cannot emphasize that enough, value that side as well. So, I think when we talk about careers, we can really focus on what hoops you can jump through, what professions you can get, but we need to house that in ensuring that these kids actually come through with that skill set. And that's just enormous.
I think those skills, those transferable skills, like empathy, like teamwork, like working with others,
Communication, accountability,
are if not more important than straight A's.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what I think employers want, and that's what you as a parent want for your to be told about your child, to be.
So how come when we're in year 12 we're not actually looking at, let's just look at your socio-emotional development? I'm sorry, but like that's what is the ingredient that actually delivers us to be able to, perform optimally and have happiness. That's it. And anyway, I could
We could go.
But maybe all I'm saying is there's a bigger picture. There's a context.
Absolutely. And you said you want your kids to be happy and trying to find what that means. And it's not how much money they're earning.
No.
It's how comfortable they are in their own skin and where they do have a purpose and a reason to get off the couch every day.
And can I say that I meet some adults sometimes that have chosen a career path that their parents have chosen for them, so they haven't chosen it, and they're now, married with children, there's a mortgage hanging over them, they've been doing this career for all of these years and they've never liked it.
They're stuck.
And they've always known that it's wrong for them, but they're fully committed and they know they're not right, and there's, path B that they have always known or at some point, but they're so committed that they can't step sideways. So I think career counselling is a fascinating area for all ages at all points, and there's something to be said for not locking yourself into something to please others, and don't get too committed to something if it's wrong for you.
Absolutely, and being brave enough or vulnerable enough to say this isn't working at whatever stage of your life, or I need to pivot, or I need to do some work on myself to change. And I think there are a lot of people in midlife or middle of their working life who are absolutely feeling locked in.
I can't imagine waking up and going to a job that you don't like.
Well, that's what I try to say. You've got to bounce out of bed every day, and and some kids know, I don't want to work in an office. I really want to work outdoors, or it's lifestyle driven, or kids will say, I want a job that gives me a really nice lifestyle. I want to earn a lot of money.
Yep. And
there's nothing wrong with that either. So it's just trying to find those career anchors
and
that
also,
can help make sense.
Yeah, and once you find your career, there's a career within your career. So it keeps going, doesn't it? I mean, I've worked in 5 different hospitals and I'm in private practice for forever, 20 years. Wow, how about that? Because it fits my personality.
And
so
that's...
it's further steps, isn't it?
Well, as you said, and I'm, pleased that I've learnt about 28 being frontal lobes all in place now. So 14, 15 is not the right... Yes, make informed choices, but you're not making the choice forever. You're taking your baby steps to make your next leap.
So what's your language? Best choice for now? No, you've got bad language.
Do you want my little mattress?
I do. I want your mantra.
Don't peak in high school. Do not peak in high school.
Do not peak in high school. And
what do you want to do next?
What do you want to do next?
What do you want to do first? And how can I help you get there?
What do you want to do first? And how can I help you get there? Everybody, we got that?
That's the take-homes.
I love it. I love it. Kate, thank you so much for coming.
My absolute
really
pleasure.
Appreciate it. Oh, we could keep talking, couldn't we?
It was fun. Oh, I'm a bit of a talker. It was fun.
Thank
you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming. I'm really honoured that you could come and share your wisdom and your beautiful humour. I love it. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
No worries. Everyone, if you want to catch me online, we've got the website, KirstenHunterAuthor.com, Facebook and Instagram, Kirsten Hunter Author. And did you know on TikTok, Dr. Kirsten Hunter? Never thought that would happen. All over the place. I know. Take care, darling. Thanks so much.
Thank you.